So good morning, everyone out there in webinar land. My name is Chris Porter and I'm the project manager from VTIC, who's looking after the RACV Victorian Tourism Awards this year. And this is a new initiative for us in terms of running a webinar series to help entrants prepare a submission for the Tourism Awards this year. So our session today is all a webinar for first-time entrants and for those people who are interested in entering the Tourism Awards but really not quite sure what they're getting themselves into. So we've probably got a session here that's going to go for about 35-40 minutes. I'd encourage you all to definitely ask all your questions and things like that. There is a question box there you'll find on the right-hand side of your screen. So feel free to ask your questions as we go through the webinar, as we really love to make this an engaged webinar as well. So firstly, I'd like to acknowledge our naming rights sponsor, RACV, who have come back on board once again to support the Tourism Awards, and it's really them supporting business excellence in the tourism industry. So thank you to RACV. Also, our program partner, principal partner in Visit Victoria, always have been a strong supporter of the awards program, and again, we thank them for their support. And I'd like to also acknowledge Webfirm, who are working with us today in bringing this webinar series to you. So thanks to the team at Webfirm for their support. As I sort of said, we're going to run through a number of different topics throughout this webinar. So we're going to look at about the awards in general. You know, what are they all about? Why do they exist? Why do they run? How do they run? We're going to step through why you should be entering the awards, what are the benefits of entering. We'll then drill down into a bit more of the detail so you can get a greater understanding of, you know, what are the categories. There are 31 categories to enter. What's the best category for me? So again, if we get to that stage and there's an opportunity for you to get a bit of clarity around which category you should be entering, feel free to throw me a question in relation to that. There are a number of rules of entry in terms of putting a submission together, so we'll cover off what those rules are, so you make sure that you abide by those rules. What's involved? What's it going to take to actually prepare a submission and actually take the time to actually do this and things like that. So we'll go a lot into the detail of what's involved in pulling this all together. There's a bit of entrant support out there. As I said, we're running these webinars, we've got workshops, and there's other bits and bobs that happen to, I suppose, help you prepare a submission. So there is a bit of entrant support. And then we're actually going to step you through the awards portal. So it is an all online submission process. So we'll step through, I'll show you some screens. We can actually view those and I'll walk you through the process so you get a bit of an understanding of what you should be doing on the awards portal. So cracking straight into it, just a little bit about the awards. So the awards have been running for 34 years now. They're actually a national awards program, and they're actually managed at a national level by the Australian Tourism Industry Council, or ATIC. So all the rules, the criteria, the categories are all set at a national level, and then each of the states actually run the State Tourism Awards at their level. So we're running a national program effectively. The only way, and I think there's a point there later on, the only way for you to go into the national awards is actually to win your category at a state level. So you need to enter the state awards first and then go up to the national awards. Doesn't mean you need to write a new submission to go into the national awards. Once you've completed your state-based submission, that's fine, and that submission goes up into the national awards. And there'll be some tips a bit later on as well in relation to that, because if you are successful and take out gold at a state level, it's important that when you're writing your submission that you're actually writing it for someone who might not even be based in Victoria. So always keep that in the back of your mind, because if you are successful and head into the nationals, we'll have national judges reading it from across the country, and they will actually may not have an idea of where your town is located or where your business is located or even what your destination is. So you need to keep that in mind when you are writing your submission. It's free to enter. The only real cost is your time and effort and actually putting the award submission together. So it is a submission-based process as well. So it's an online portal that you go into, and it actually is the best submission will win the category. That's what they're judging. They're not judging a business per se or the experience per se. They're actually judging your submission. Every category has a site visit, and I'll go into a bit more detail about the site visits later on. But the main intent of the site visits really is just to for you to show them what you've talked about within your submission. So you talk about within your submission your business plan or your marketing plan or your collateral. It's an opportunity for you to actually verify to the judge that you have all these things that you're talking about within your submission. The reporting period, or what are you talking about within your submission? So your submission, you're actually talking about everything within the 2019 financial year. So obviously we've still got a couple of months. So what we always recommend that if you are keen on entering the Tourism Awards is that you go in, you download the category that you want to be involved with, you look at the questions, because there's an opportunity for you to start actually implementing some certain things which will actually help beef up your submission. So the reason why these business awards or these tourism awards really exist is actually to help you try and improve your business. The awards is all about recognising leading operators who demonstrate business excellence. So I've really touched on that already. And as I said, the state winners go automatically up to the national awards, and that's a fantastic event to be involved with. This year it was held down in Launceston. Next year it's going to be up in Canberra, and it really is the best of the best in terms of tourism businesses. So what are the levels of achievement? So we have 4 levels of achievement in the Tourism Awards. To receive a finalist result, you have to achieve 75% and above. So if we've got, if you get anything above 75% from a score perspective, you'll receive a finalist result. If you are the top of your class or the top of your category and the highest score, then obviously you'll take out gold. Second will become silver, third will become bronze, and then anyone after that will get a finalist certificate. So in some categories you can have upwards of 8 winners. In other categories you might only get a gold and a silver. If someone enters a category, if a business enters a category and they don't actually reach this 75% mark, there will be no award allocated for that category this year. A lot of businesses also like to aim for a Hall of Fame. What is a Hall of Fame? A Hall of Fame is actually taking out gold 3 years in a row, and it's an acknowledgement of the hard work and the quality business submissions that you're writing for 3 years in a row. So if you are successful in going through the process for those 3 years and taking out gold in your category, you will be awarded a Hall of Fame trophy. The numbers you see there are actually the number of winners that we had in the awards in 2018. So we had 30 golds out of our 30 categories. There were 22 silvers, 15 bronze, 18 finalists, and we inducted 6 businesses into the Hall of Fame last year, which was a fantastic result. So, you know, out of the 120 entries that we had entered the awards, or 121 entries that entered the award, we actually had 85 people who achieved, or 85 businesses that achieved 75% and above, which is a fantastic result. And, you know, our aim is really to work with businesses, work with entrants to try and get them up to that 75% level. So we are having great success at a state level, but then also at the national level as well. So why enter? There are a number of reasons, you know, why you should be entering, or there are great benefits to entering, and the things that we have listed here aren't what we've just made up. These are actually what businesses come back and tell us the benefits of them entering the awards. A lot of businesses use it as a self-evaluation tool for their business, or a business health check. They get an opportunity to see what's working within their business and what's not, and why. Some businesses, you know, complete a submission year on year, and it gives them a real opportunity to sit back each year and actually review what they've done in the past 12 months. What can they innovate? So it's really taking you away from, you know, being in your business, running your business, being the front of your business, to actually working on your business and trying to find new opportunities for you to actually, you know, grow your business and become better at what you do. Helps to identify areas for improvement. It, there's questions around your business planning and your marketing plan, your staffing and your professional development. So it's really looking at all these key areas within your business, and it really helps you to analyze what you're doing and what you're doing well. One of our past entrants really helps them to create new ideas. There's a couple of questions in relation to innovation. So what have you been innovative on this year in relation to your business or within your marketing? So start thinking about ways that what you've done this year compared to previous years that can really help to bulk up your submission. Clarity of thinking. So it starts to pull away all the knowledge of things that you don't know or stuff that you really want to get out of your mind, and actually helps you to drive a really strong plan that you can deliver on over the next 12 months. A lot of businesses say it forms a really good reference document for them. So it's a document that starts to collate a lot of information together. It can compile all your statistics together, helps you with your business planning, it pulls together your reporting requirements. So a lot of stuff is there that you can actually use for other documentation and things like that. One of those, for example, is accreditation, if you want to go down the accreditation line, or it might be helping something with a funding grant you're looking at getting. So it's a great reference document that you can complete year on year to be used in the future. To be identified as be part of the industry and boost your profile. So there's a lot of profiling opportunities within your region that you can use. There's a lot of leveraging that you can do as being a part of the tourism awards, that you're an award winner in your particular category, whether that's at gold, silver, bronze or finalist level. It gives you an opportunity to talk to your regional tourism boards about how you can leverage off the benefit of winning an award. So there's lots of opportunities there to actually be identified as being a part of the industry and be included in industry. It's always been great for staff collaboration, helps with pride, morale, going away and winning a submission or winning an award and actually celebrating that as a team. And we encourage you to actually use your entire team if possible. Not always going to be possible with some larger organisations, but definitely with smaller organisations, include your entire team in this process and make them a part of the process and make them have ownership over it as well. And one I've put down there at the end, and I think it's probably just a byproduct, is that there is the potential to be recognised as the best in your category at a state level, and then also potentially at a national level. So there are heaps of benefits out there that come along with entering these awards. And we hope a lot of them around creating better business and better excellence. And then at the end of the day, if we can take out a gold trophy as well, that's fantastic also. So as I mentioned earlier on, there are 31 categories this year. We have a new category this year, which we have not run before, which is category 31, which is excellence in accessible tourism. So that's one of our new categories there. The way the categories are set up is they pretty much cover off majority of the industry. Most businesses will find a natural fit within one of those particular categories. You are able to enter more than one category if you so wish to do so. As a new timer, I'd probably recommend not necessarily doing that first year unless you're really brave, but potentially look at starting with one and then other opportunities to go into other categories. There are a couple of categories that you can't enter into twice. So for example, you can't enter a business into major tourist attraction and into tourist attraction. You're either one or the other. Another one is major festivals and events and festivals and events. For example, defining a major festival and event is over 50,000 visitors to your event. So you clearly will fall into one of those two categories. The other category, which is you can only do one or the other, is major tour and transport operator or tour and transport operator. So the defining marker there is a number of full-time employees, and if you have 15 or more, you're a major tour and transport operator. If you have less than 15, obviously you fall into the other category. But you can enter tour and transport operator category if you wanted to, and then also enter something like adventure tourism if that's the way your business flows, or ecotourism. So there are a number of different categories that if you did want to enter, you can have that opportunity and be recognised as the best in the tour and transport operator category, but also adventure tourism category as well. Categories through 1 to 25 are recognised at the national level, so they're the categories where businesses will automatically go up into the national competition. Categories 26 to 31 at this stage are only state-based awards, so they don't actually proceed up into the national awards. Having introduced Excellence in Accessible Tourism this year, that's been run in South Australia for a couple of years now, and we're hoping that might get enough interest from across the country. We just need a bit of critical mass in that category to ensure we can get it up into a national level. So there's opportunity that some of these categories may be elevated into the future, but at the moment it is categories 1 to 25. With the accommodation categories, as you can see there's categories 17 through to 23 are relevant to the accommodation sector. To enter these categories, it's based on a equivalent star rating. So all the categories start at majority of the categories start at 3 and above. Once you get up to deluxe, it's actually for 4 to 4.5 star or equivalent properties, and then luxuries for your 5-star accommodation businesses. So that's the outline of the categories there. Majority of the questions across the categories are fairly similar. There are some nuances within individual categories and things like that. But as I said, I'd really recommend for you to go onto the Victorian Tourism Awards website and look at the categories, look at the descriptors. So there's clear descriptors on each of these categories and what you should be entering into, and actually just download the questions and start having a bit of a look and see which is the best category for you to enter into this year. So jump onto the website and download those category questions as soon as possible. So I did mention around, we do have a question. Sorry, we did have a blimp in the system about it starting at 10:39, and I do apologise. We have started on 10:30, which was in all our other comms, but it has been recorded. So if you need to watch the first 5 minutes, you can catch up on that. So I do apologise. So thank you for that question, and I apologise for anyone who's logging in a bit late. So rules of entry and entering the Tourism Awards. So as I mentioned earlier on, there are a number of rules that we need to abide to. Again, these are actually set at the national level. So we're reporting in on the qualifying period of 1st of July 2018 to 30 June 2019. So this is what you're reporting against. So basically, when we're looking at new initiatives, new ideas, new things that have been happening within your business, it is really within that qualifying period. But you are allowed to talk about what's happened in the past as well. So you are able to talk, well, when you're talking about your business, how long it's been around for, why it's been established, talk about the history and things of your business is all fine. But when you're reporting and when you're looking at your business planning and your targets and what you're measuring against, you're measuring what you've done this year effectively against previous years. So just be mindful of that. But as I said at the top, there is the opportunity now for you to look at what the questions are and what they're asking, and actually see if there's some things you can implement in the next couple of months in May and June to actually help you bolster up or add things into your submission. There is a word limit, so the word limit is 12,500 words. That's split over 5 questions, so it might sound like a lot now, but once you actually get into the questions and actually seeing the detail and level or the depth of understanding that actually is required, you can quite easily fill those 12,500 words, and I can guarantee you most businesses struggle to fit within the 12,500 words. So it's recommended that when you are answering questions that you be concise with your answers, because you will actually struggle to stay under. And when we do our future webinars and things like that, you will see as we go into a bit more detail with the individual questions and things, the level of detail that is required. There are 2 categories though that are actually only 8,000 words, and one of those is the food tourism category. That's only an 8,000 word submission, and also our new category, excellence in accessible tourism. So they are the 2 categories that are 8,000 words. The other categories that, and I'll just highlight them as I didn't really highlight them on the last slide, are the individual categories that you can see there. So outstanding contribution by an individual, outstanding contribution by volunteers, and then the Young Achiever Award, are greatly reduced submission. So it's usually 3 or 4 pages, CV, references, and things like that. So have a think about anyone that you think's been a outstanding contribution of an individual within your region that you would like to nominate, or someone who's a young achiever. It could be a staff member within your team that you would like to recognise as well. There are these personal or these individual awards that we run, so keep those in mind as well when you are entering, and they're not as complicated as your business submissions. I've talked about you can enter more than one category outside of those couple of sector issues that we've spoken about. So have a look at that if you're more than interested. Do be mindful though, if you are entering another category, that you answer the questions to the category. So unfortunately, you can't just copy and paste from one submission into the next. You do really need to refine the submission to be based on those particular category questions. Specialised tourism services is what the category that you can't enter into if you're entering another category. This is really a bit of a catch-all category for businesses that don't have a natural fit to go into another submission. So have a look at that. If you don't feel like you fit into a particular category, then definitely please view that. We do provide a site visit as well, so majority of the categories receive, well, all categories receive a site visit, and every category receives 20 points towards their score, except those categories mentioned there, 3, 4, 8, 14, 24, and 27. The reason why they don't receive a score is because there's a bit of variation between the businesses that can enter. It's the festivals and events category. It's a bit hard to judge it if we're not judging or seeing the event actually happening live. So there's a couple that don't have a site visit score, but they still have a site visit. And as I said, these site visits are really there just to verify what you've spoken about within your submission, and we'll go into that a bit more detail later on. Crucially, submissions are due on the 6th of September, so there is still plenty of time to prepare your submission for this year. Encourage you to start the process as soon as possible so that you can have the time that you need to complete it and give it the credit that it needs to be completed properly. We do encourage, so we have a nomination deadline as well, so we want all businesses to get in and nominate as soon as possible so we can sort of see where you are, we can offer support, we can you know, point you in the right direction with different bits and pieces. So make sure, as sort of said, jump online and nominate as soon as possible, and we'll go through that process shortly, but nominate as soon as you can, because we're going to close off nominations at the end of June. And then we have a bit of an idea of who's actually within the awards process this year. I do have another question coming through from Damien. Thanks, Damien. Multi-state operators, any tips on, or how does that work? You generally need to enter only one state category. You can't enter multiple states, so you can only enter the Victorian Tourism Awards or the New South Wales Tourism Awards, and then you really need to really focus on the categories or focus on the businesses that you're running within that state. So that's the way it needs to be run. It's actually one of the rules of entry for national operators, that they have to focus on the businesses that they're running within the state that they're entering. So keep that in mind. And Damien, if you needed to get in touch with me afterwards and we can have a bit more of a chat around that, it's a bit of a unique criteria. So what's involved? Just a few hints and tips. So nominate your business now. I said nominations close on the 30th of June. It's a submission-based question set. So understand the questions, and I'm going to talk through a bit of what the overview of what the questions are shortly without going into too much detail, so you give you an understanding of what you should be looking at within your business. Time, it does take time, so allocate weeks, or allocate a day a week or half a day a week or an hour a week to start working on this process, just so you're not rushing it at the very end. There's nothing worse than rushing this at the very end, so make sure that you spend the time now to do it, and you will find the process a lot more manageable than leaving it through to the last week and a half. Now, you could be having someone within your business write it. You could be getting someone in externally to write it. So think about, you need someone to spend the time pulling this together. If you're a small business and you're a small team, we encourage you to use your entire team. Get them all involved. If you're a larger organisation, who are your department heads that you're going to need to call on for information? Who has the information in relation to business planning or professional development or marketing? So make sure you include the right people within your organisation to help write this and pull it all together. But just don't have them write the answers for you. Judges will quite quickly pick up. They'll see that different people have written the submission, because everyone has a different writing style. So make sure that you've got someone who's a bit of that champion that can actually make sure it's got a bit of a flow through the document from start to finish. One of the most crucial steps is to have a proofreader. Get someone to actually read over your submission. This could be someone who's within the business. It could be someone who's outside the business. It could be a friend, it could be a family member. Obviously everyone gets a little too close to certain documentations, and you look over things. I know we all do it in the past, where you read the one document 10 times, you pass it over to someone else and they pick out a glaring error straight away. So make sure you do get someone to proofread, and get them to take their time to read it, as well as they might know your business and look at it from the outside and be able to recommend things that you might be able to include that you haven't necessarily included. So make sure you use the resources that you have around you to prepare a submission. Very important is around the evidence of your results. So the judges want to see back up your statements. Why are you the best at what you do? How have you achieved growth within your business? Have you grown your business from 5,000 visitors a year to 6,000 visitors a year? So what was that growth on the last year? So they want to see this evidence of backing up your statement. So be mindful of that when you're answering your questions, that you are providing the evidence that is required. And I've spoken about what the site visit judge does as well. So just looking quickly into an overview of the actual areas of entry. So there are 5 areas, I suppose, or 5 question sets. So within each of these areas, there are breakout questions, which could be A, B, C, D, or E in some circumstances. So start thinking about, in terms of, your tourism excellence. So tourism excellence in this part is really setting the scene for the entire submission. So what we want to do is really, you can talk about your business. Question 1A is you talking about your business and what you do and how you do it and how wonderful it is, and telling people where it is and things like that. And it really sets the scene for the entire submission. But within question 1A as well, you need to actually clearly define why you're entering the category that you're entering and why you're eligible to enter that category. For a lot of you, it's going to be pretty straightforward. If you're a tour operator and you're entering the tour operator business category, then it's pretty straightforward. But be mindful, especially within the other categories of ecotourism or adventure tourism, how are you touching on those particular areas? Business planning, as I said, these are business excellence awards. So we really want you to have a business plan in place. Some of you might be sitting there now going, well, we sort of got something that's there and it's a bit of a document that's, it's not kind of live, but this is an opportunity for you to start to reinvent those documents. When we ask about your business plan within the question set, we're not actually asking you to put up your entire business plan. We are actually looking for the key factors within your business plan, which really tick off on the different aspects of the submission, like your marketing and your customer service and your sustainability and things like that. So business planning question is really critical because it actually sets the scene as well for other parts of the submission that are coming up. Marketing is crucial, as always. So it looks at who your target markets are. Do you have a marketing plan? How do you know who your target markets are? What's the research that's done behind your target markets? What are the innovations that you've done in your marketing this year compared to last year? So they're the kinds of questions that we're going to be asked or are asked as part of the award submission. Customer service, obviously we're a customer service industry, so it's a crucial part of what we do and obviously a crucial part of the award submission. So looking about how do you track customer service? What are your feedback channels? Is it word of mouth? How do you respond to customer complaints? So to start thinking about that now. Sustainability, this looks at your contribution to the local economy. This looks at your contribution to the local community, and it also looks at your contribution to sustainability in general. So as I said, I've said the whole way through, the first thing that we really want new entrants to do is to download their question sets and actually start looking at the areas that that the questions are asking. So moving on, what we're going to do now is actually take you through just quickly the online portal so you can get a bit of an understanding of what that looks like and things, so you start to get a bit of an understanding. So when you do nominate, what you need to do is to jump onto the Victorian Tourism Awards website. You'll find a button on there that says, click here to nominate. As you'll find, you'll enter come to this screen here, and as you can see there's a tab there for new user or register me. So basically what this does is actually sets up your profile in the system. So as it stands, the Australian Tourism Industry Council actually manage the accreditation program. They also manage the star ratings program, but they also own the Australian Tourism Awards program. So what they've done is really combined the three assets into one easy to use platform, as a lot of businesses are either accredited or star rated. So it is an easy platform for businesses to use. So as an award entrant, if you're not accredited or not star rated, you'll land on this screen here, and what you need to do is basically click on the middle Australian Tourism Awards tab, and what that takes you through is to your awards dashboard. So effectively what you'll find here is you'll find your award submission effectively. So once you land on this, once you've registered for the Tourism Awards platform, you actually need to nominate your business. So you click on the Nominate Now tab, which is just there. So you nominate now. It has you a couple of questions that it asks you: what category you're entering, what are your key contact details, and different bits and pieces like that. What state are you entering as well? So obviously you'll be entering the Victorian Tourism Awards. So you sort of go through all that, and then you go submit. That then comes to us in the back end of the system, and it will actually pop up in your bottom there, yet to be approved or something. So we'll actually see that, and we actually have to approve it in the back end. So this is where we can check some balance a bit for us, so we can actually check which category you're entering, make sure you're entering the right category, and things like that. So we have that process in place just to ensure, especially for new entrants, it's a great process that we can actually ensure that they're entering the category that's right for them. So that process is in place. We then approve it at the back end, and as you can see there, is once it's approved, it pops up on the screen. And effectively what you can do is, once that happens, you click Start Entry, and you can go through to what is the awards platform. This is the basic dashboard of what the awards platform looks like. You'll see there's a couple of tabs across the top of the page, which are really your navigation tools. Clicking on any of these takes you through to a component of the Tourism Awards. One of the requirements of entry, and this is a new requirement for this year, is a basic business standards level question set. So we're going to go into a bit more detail on this within our next webinar, but businesses actually need to answer a range of questions, and I'll show you on the next slide just a couple of those, just in relation to the running of their business. It's a fairly straightforward question set that ATIC want businesses to answer, but that's a new feature that they're made as a necessity of entering this year. So as you can see there, the way you navigate through these individual tabs is you navigate down by the bottom here. If you can see my cursor on the screen, I think you can actually click on each of those, and you can come backwards and forwards. You can do a couple now and then go out and come back in and do it later, so it saves all your information. But it's actually just asking for those checks and balances really when it comes into answering the awards process. The great thing as well that comes out of this process, once you've completed it, if you so wish to do so, it's not a requirement of entering. If you so wish to do so, you can actually use this as taking the next step into accreditation. So there is this opportunity for you, without even doing any more work as part of the awards process, that you can become an accredited business. So that's a bit of a great initiative this year. So we're just recommending businesses as well, once you've nominated, jump in, have a bit of a look, sort of see what kind of those questions are asking, and look into that as well. If you're an accommodation business, there is one other further step as well, which is an accommodation standards question set. So if you're an accommodation business, what will pop up here is your business standards, accommodation standards, and then your awards submission. So as I said, jump into that. We're also, as I mentioned, in the next webinar, we're going to go through this in a bit more detail, as we've got Erin from ATIC presenting with us at our next webinar. So jump online and check that out. So I've done the pre-assessment stuff. We're now just going to have a quick look at what the submission process looks like. So we really recommend businesses not to actually just write their submission within the awards portal. It's actually probably better if you work on it in a Word document, and then make sure you leave yourself a bit of time to actually upload and enter in the information. So again, like the previous slide, you navigate through the bottom here. So once you've clicked on the tab, it opens up, and you can actually just navigate through each of these individual sections, which are the question set which we looked at earlier. So tourism excellence, business plan, marketing, customer service, and sustainability. So as I said, you can jump into each of those at different times. You can start, you can log out, you can log in, it saves. So look at that and have a bit of a play around and sort of see how it looks like. There is also user manuals and things online here, so you can actually log in and actually download user manuals just by up the top here. If you click up the top, you'll actually see you can download user manuals and different bits and pieces. So log in. If you're having issues with anything, use those manuals. And as always, if there's any challenges that you're facing, then reach out to the team at VTA, because we're more than happy to assist where we can. You'll see a tab here, which is a pretty crucial tab, is media and promotional. There are a couple of requirements that we require from a gala ceremony perspective that we need businesses to prepare. One of them is a 100-word description that, if you're successful on the night, gets read out on the evening. So make sure that sounds really good. Also, we need 10 high-res images that we need included as well. So start putting some images aside that you can actually put into your media and things, which will actually flash up onto screen throughout the winning ceremony and things like that. So jump on, make yourself aware of what's there. As I said, you can always link back to the Victorian Tourism Awards website as well through the portal. So just drilling down into a bit more detail in terms of what this actually looks like when you jump into it on your screen. So this is just clicking on the Tourism Excellence tab. You can see there it's out of 20 points. It then drills down into individual questions. So as you can see there, it asks you to demonstrate your eligibility for this category as related to the category descriptor. So this is where you actually put your answers and stuff there. It's a fairly user-friendly platform. It's now been, this is its 3rd year, so they have ironed out majority of the bugs. Interestingly, what is also great to be aware of is these tips. Now these tips are provided throughout the questions. So these are the things that really the judges are looking for. So get a really good understanding of what the tips are, because the judges see those, that's what they want to see within the submission. So make sure you're ticking off on those things that have been asked as part of the tips that are there. But every question through the portal and also on the downloads that you can download off the Tourism Awards website have these tips. So make sure you're aware of what those tips are and use those accordingly. So that's a bit of a snapshot of the portal. I encourage you all to sort of jump in and have a nominate and have a bit of a play with it and things like that at your leisure, and see how you go. So at any stage, if you have any questions, feel free to jump in and have a chat to the VTIC team. So we do offer a whole level of entrant support as well to hopefully help businesses prepare a winning submission and do well not only at a state level but also at a national level. So as I sort of said at the top, we're running this webinar series. So this is the first time we've done a webinar series like this, and so for the next 6 weeks on a Thursday at 10:30, not 10:39, we're going to do them at 10:30 from now on. We'll be having this webinar series. So next week, I said, we've got one on what's new this year. So we're going to talk about the changes and some of those question sets or standard question sets that have been asked. Then the week after that, we're going to drill down into question 1, tourism excellence. Each of these webinars, I'm actually going to have someone else presenting with me, so you're not going to have to listen to me for 6 weeks. So we're going to have some experts. We're going to have judges, we're going to have mentors, we're going to have entrants, talk about how they've answered and how they've approached things. So really look out for those webinars over the next month. They're all recorded. If you miss one, we'll be uploading those online as well, and you'll be able to download them and watch them at your own leisure or go backwards and forwards. Project officer support as well for new entrants is being delivered by the regional tourism boards. Just went dark for a split second. So get in touch with your regional tourism board, as they have project officer support. So they have an option of assisting 5 businesses within their region to prepare their submission. So really, if you're keen on getting that support, make sure you get in touch with your regional tourism board. And if you want those contacts or who the best person to talk to is, again, just come and send myself an email. For experienced entrants, I'm not sure if we've got an experienced entrants online, but we are once again running the mentor program. So the mentor program is for experienced entrants. These are all volunteers that we have within the industry, people who have been judges or entrants in the past and really just want to give back to industry. So these fonts of knowledge are there to assist businesses. So make sure if you are an experienced entrant and want to use of a mentor that you reach out to us as well. We have the awards website. I said all this information that we're talking about today is all on the awards website. So jump on there again, have a look, download the categories, see what support's available. The full rules of entry are on there as well, so you can download the rules of entry. And the other thing we do is we have a regular communication that we send out to industry. So it's called our Awards Talk newsletter. What I'll do after today is make sure that all you guys are actually up on our Awards Talk newsletter, so you start receiving those communication in relation to events, what we've got coming up, some hot bits of information and stuff like that. So there's plenty of support out there. So I suppose the crucial thing is to make sure you don't feel like you're alone out there, that you're sitting there looking at these questions going, how do I do this? What do I do? We encourage you to reach out and use the support that's available to you. I'm just going to quickly dive into the judging process just so you get a bit of a clarity or a bit of an understanding how it all works. It's a pretty detailed and in-depth process. The awards process is actually audited. We have an independent auditor that comes and overviews or oversees the entire process, especially the judging process, because that is the critical part when you're sometimes splitting hairs between decisions of who's winning and who's coming first or who's coming second. So the whole process is audited. We have a panel of 30 judges that actually judge our awards submissions, and actually chaired by a chair of judges who doesn't actually judge any submissions. So our chair of judges is really there as the brains trust. She's there for our judges to be able to bounce ideas off. She's there for our judges to be able to say, okay, I've got this issue, what do you think? So really she's this independent person who plays a role in helping judges make the right decision and an informed decision as well. So we have 10 teams of 3, so that makes up our 30 judges. So your submission that you write will actually be read and judged by 3 independent judges. Now, when judges are actually reading the submissions for the first time, they're actually doing that independently. So they're not sitting together reading them, they're sitting at their home or in their office or on a train or on a plane or wherever they are reading these submissions independently. So what they do is each of them read them independently, they'll go through and score independently, and they'll also go through and write comments independently as well. What we then do is run a retreat. So we bring everyone together effectively, and this is the time where the judges get together and compare scores. So, you know, sometimes you find you've got a judge that's marking really hard, or you've got a judge that's a bit more lax. So, and this is where they come together and robustly really talk about, you know, the results of, or why they've judged the way they've judged. And they do this for every single business within every single category. So judges have upwards of 12 to 15 submissions to read, and they generally take about 2 hours, 2.5 hours to read each of those submissions. So they are volunteering a lot of their time, knowledge and effort to judge these awards, and they give each submission the due credit that it's worth, because obviously you have all spent the time pulling it together over the months and months, preparing a great submission and things, so they give it just as much credit when they return. You can guarantee that they take their time and evaluate each one on its merits. Confidentiality is obviously a big consideration as well, and conflict of interest. As I said, we've got a relatively large judging panel, and it's almost impossible to avoid all conflicts of interest and all things like that, just because everyone seems to know each other within our industry. So be assured, with all the information that you do put into your submission, confidentiality agreements are signed by our judges, by everyone that's involved in the awards. Actually sign those confidentiality, so we're all very much robustly maintain everyone's confidence like that. So be assured the information that you're putting into the system isn't actually going to be shared any further than what it's intended for. Conflict of interest, we do have judges, as I said. Some will be tour operators, they won't be judging tour operator categories. Accommodation providers, they won't be judging accommodation categories. So we really look at those conflicts of interest and making sure that a competitor isn't reading another person's submission and getting some ideas. So we really monitor that again, and that's audited with our independent auditor. We also put all our judges' profiles up online. They're also the face of the awards process, really, because a lot of the time, if you're not in contact with myself or my team, you are, you know, the only time you get to see someone is when they come out and do their site visit. So really use that time as well, you know, to talk to your judge about, you know, your business and the awards process and things like that. So again, use talk to your judges as much as possible when they're out there, and they can really be the ones that you'll see on the night and recognize and things like that. The site judge won't necessarily have read your submission. So again, when you're going through the process of completing your site visit, you need to really highlight and show the things that they know what to be looking for, because they've read submissions, they know they need to see business plans, marketing plans, and the works. So make sure you are providing those things to them. So just on the site visit judging, the purpose is really, as I said, to cross-reference that they've what you've got within your submission, what you've talked about within your submission, you've actually got. So make sure you have all those things. The good site visits that are completed, you know, you turn up, they've got all their documents laid out on a table for them to see. They've got their awards there, or they've got their certificates of membership there, and you know, it's a part of the process where they can just go, yep, and they're not there to actually judge your business plan or your marketing plan. They're there just to really verify that you have one in place and you actually are there and you are using it and things like that. So be mindful of that. And the site visits go for 90 minutes. So the time is there for you really to run. You can show them part of an experience. If you're a tour operator, I know it's hard for them to put them on a tour and take them out in an hour and a half, but they want to see how your business operates. I said, these are Business Excellence Awards. If you've got any marketing videos and things like that, you can show them that. You can show them your website, show them your social feeds and things like that, just so you're really backing up what you've talked about within your submission. So use that time wisely and really plan it out and make sure the person who has written the submission is there, because they're the ones who are going to know what the ins and outs are of that submission process. In terms of arrangement of site visits, judges will get in touch with you, and then they basically have a 5-week window to do 4 or 5 site visits. These generally occur from about the 10th of September through the early week of October. We'd like to give entrants, obviously with a busy period coming into school holidays and things, as much notice as possible. They're fairly flexible around what time they meet and how they meet, but just be mindful that they might be doing 2 or 3 in region at a time. So just be mindful of that, as the judges will be as mindful as you of your time as well in running your business. So just take your time to run those site visits. So just touching on finally, just a couple of winning words, I suppose. This is sort of some tips from entrants. As I sort of said, this isn't us now talking about what we think should be happening. This is what the entrants have done. And these are all winning entrants. So Royal Mail Hotel won bronze at the national level this year. Previously, they won gold at the national level. So very experienced entrant. Find someone in your team to source a range of quotes and testimonials. Quotes and testimonials are great. You can put them throughout your submission wherever you can. It just really backs up what you're talking about. You can use them as screenshots. You can just put them in as, type them in as well and just say customer feedback from XYZ. So there's multiple ways you can actually sprinkle these through, and it really is a nice way of actually just beefing up what your submission is. But as she sort of said here, refer to the ones that brings your business has done to demonstrate excellence, not just say your business is great. So what are you doing in terms of your excellence? As said, Business Excellence Awards. Allocate a time block and block it out. They developed, these guys, Catherine from Haysbury House and the Grampians, Tourism Tuesdays, where they'll sit down and just look at different bits and pieces. So can you implement something with your business where you're actually doing that? Sue at Green Olive, plan your responses by looking at all the questions. Ensure you have a common thread all the way through. This will help showcase your business really well from a holistic point of view. So tell your story throughout the submission. So really crucial there that you do that from start to finish. As I said, judges are reading 12 or 13. They volunteer their time. So really make it stand out and make them an enjoyable and a fun read. So some final tips. Use testimonials, quotes, and evidence where you can. Evidence is crucial. Just don't say you're the best at something without backing it up. Why are you the best at something? Have you won an award? Have you done this? Have you done that? Make sure you're always backing that up. Qualify your answers with specific results, as I've spoken about with your business plan and your marketing plan. What are the actual results that you can show to show that you've grown your business? Numbers are always good. So you can talk about visitation has grown. It may have stayed, it may not have grown. And you can also talk about that. Why hasn't it grown? What hasn't worked? What have you learned? So these are the things that you can talk about. You know, we don't always expect things to be happening. You can try something, it might not work. That's fine. Just explain why you've done that. Use images. You're allowed up to 25 images within the submission. So, and an image is allowed a 6-word caption. Anything above the 6 words is actually then counted as word count. So be mindful of that. Images, you can be creative with images and create collages and things, which then only accounts for 1 image. So just don't use images though randomly. Make sure they actually are related to your content that you're putting through. But you can use pie charts and graphs and things like that, which also count as images. So just be mindful of how you use them. So we've got 25, but you can actually display some real information in there. Whatever you do, don't put bulks of text within the images, because judges aren't there to read text within images. What the image needs to do, or the answer needs to still be fully answered without the image. So the criteria always put to the judges, if they take the image out, can they still answer the question appropriately? So make sure there's no bulk text hidden within images or within tables like that, because it won't be considered by the judges. Tables are crucial throughout. It's a really easy way of displaying information. Business plan is pretty straightforward, but some of the questions are multifaceted. So they ask you to do something and then demonstrate it. So it's a nice way you can actually say, well, I did this, and this is how I did it. And you can actually put that quite easy into table format, and it's straightforward. The judges can see it. They don't have to dig out through a whole lot of waffle to find what the answer is. It's just there out in front of them. Another tip, is just, start drafting answers now. Start looking at what the questions is. Maybe start at question 5. Everyone really struggles with question 5. So get to question 5 first and have a look at that and sort of see what's the best way of answering those questions. So start, as I say, start now, start working on it, and you'll find that it'll break down the pieces nice and easily for you to be able to enter the awards. Finally, so just talking about what we've got coming up in terms of workshops and webinars. So as I mentioned, webinars every Thursday now until the 6th of June. There might be a particular area that you're interested in hearing in. You might not want to sit through or listen to all of them, but they are there recorded and things. Register as you have for this one. Jump in through the Tourism Awards website and check it out. We are also running some workshops this year in region, which are multifaceted, really. We're actually teaming up with a team at state government with the Tourism Events and Visitor Economy branch, bringing these workshops out into region. As you can see there, we're getting around majority of the state, working with our naming right partner, RACV. These workshops are going to have a bit of focus on VTIC, bit of a focus on the Tourism Awards, but there's been some interesting research done recently by Deloitte into tech disruption, and the guys from TEVE, as they're known, are going to be coming out and actually presenting on that research and tech disruption in the tourism space. So some really cool information there. If you attend that workshop, you can actually put that into your Tourism Award submission as a professional development thing that you've done. So see if you can get to one of those. They're free as well. They're running for a couple of hours on those days, but jump on the website, look under the workshops tab, and you can just register for that as well. So that's the background for all my first timers out there who are keen on entering the Tourism Awards. If anyone has any particular burning questions, feel free to send it through now, and I can see if I can answer that for you. Otherwise, as I said, post this webinar, feel free to reach out and get in touch. My email address, while it's not there, is just cporter@vtic.com.au, and you will actually be able to see that on the website as well. So jump online, jump on the phone, pick it up. More than happy to chat to anyone around their specific questions that they might have. It could just be category related, it could be question related, it could be any number of things, or just trouble with the portal. More than happy to lend support and assistance where we can. So please feel free to reach out to myself or the team. Doesn't appear to be too many questions flooding in at this point in time. So we might call it a day. Thank you everyone very much for your time. Once again, thank you to RACV, Visit Victoria, and the great team here at WebFirm. We're back in this office, back in this studio, same time next week. And yeah, look forward to working through the awards process with you. So thank you everyone.